pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I can understand where you're going to
Roll call.
I mean, it's
Snyder, Bartella, Troop, Eister.
Two things I want to add to the agenda. One being that City Council met at 5:30 this evening in executive session to discuss personnel issues. Down under unfinished business, there'll be a Department of Public Safety resolution that we'll be talking about. Does anybody in the audience want to make any comments on anything specific that's on there at this time? Okay. Jamie's here?
I'm here.
There you are. The floor is yours.
All right, if you would recess the regular meeting so we can have the final public hearing for
Okay.
2013 CDBG.
This meeting is in recess, and as I said before, the floor is yours now.
All right, thank you. Tonight we're here to have the final public hearing for the city's 2013 CDBG Community Development Block Grant application process. Last meeting, 2 weeks ago, the council selected several projects for funding, including clearance demolition at $73,000, the Oppenheimer Pleasure Grounds basketball court improvements at $33,660, the fire department ladder truck purchase at $42,000, Chestnut Street reconstruction at $97,340, and then administration at $54,000. Does anybody have any comments on the projects that were selected for funding? Yeah, I hear that. More than anybody usually says.
It's good one.
Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about with those projects that's related to 2013 funding is the Chestnut Street project. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago with Barry Grabaric, who's the PennDOT Municipal Services rep, and with one of the suppliers or contractors who uses the Nova Chip product to talk about how we wanted to do the Chestnut Street reconstruction project. What was determined there, the contractor that supplies the Nova Chip indicated that he felt that it would work on that street, that there wouldn't be any problems, and that we could do it for the money we have available. Barry with PennDOT, who cannot make a recommendation to the city on what to do, he can't support the Nova Chip or against, but he has talked to PennDOT District 8 pavement designer, they use that product a lot on the interstates up in District 8. He said he would not recommend using it on a street like Chestnut Street because, number one, it's brick underneath, and number two, you have a lot of heavy stop-and-go traffic. Those trucks are just going to push it. It's probably going to crumble. It isn't ultra-thin friction or rather than several inches of pavement. So we have two different opinions on how that's going to work. The one good thing about it is it's cost-effective. It will cover the road, it will resurface your road. It's sort of a glorified maintenance application, if you know what I mean. Instead of carting and chipping it, you use this Nova Chip ultra thin course. You can get it done for the money you have available, and according to the guy that puts it down, it'll work. Barry with PennDOT does recommend going with super pave, the milling down 2 inches and then putting down super pave asphalt. However, once you do that, you've gone down 2 inches, you have to replace your 88 curb cuts. That's okay.
Is this going to take all the money? Is that what you're saying? Because
What
when
I-
Bill was here, he said that was illegal, just to use it for paving without using it for other stuff.
Right, we're doing reconstruction. So we have to go down and rebuild parts of the road that need rebuilt, re-crown it, whatever needs done, new drainage, new, all of those catch basins and everything, we're going to do all of that.
Okay.
The Nova Chip, the money should be available enough to do that. If you go with what PennDOT recommends and what's probably going to be a longer lasting solution,
What we should do.
it's going to be twice as much. You're looking at $460,000. You're about $185,000 short of that right now. So the options, my suggestion is that we procure an engineer to look at the road, see what's there. We need to know what's already there, what the base is made of, and everything about it, so that then we could determine how to do it. What's the best way to do it? Will the Nova Chip work? If it'll work, you can just put it down. If not, we have to pave it. If you just want to pave it, we hire the engineer to do the design and bid and everything. If we're going to use super pave. Now again, if you're going to go with PennDOT's recommendation of reconstructing the road using, milling down the 2 inches and then paving it, you're going to be looking at a shortage of about $185,000 based on estimates. That's just guesses. based on Barry's estimates, which are generally very close yet conservative. He does like to make them high so we don't go over. My suggestion would be that you consider either now or later allocating your 2013 money to Chestnut Street and then funding the other projects in 2014. You could do that now, or you could do that after. You could do it next spring in a budget revision or revision when we know what it's going to cost. Either way, it would work. I'm not suggesting that you leave things as is with 2013 and then borrow the money and reimburse yourself out of future years, because in 2014, we're supposed to have new census data to use. And if the city's LMI percentage has gone below 51% by census data, or whatever data it is that we see is going to give us to you since they collect it with the census, then you no longer have an eligible fundable project. And that's trouble. If it was any other time, I tell you we could just reimburse you for any funds you put into it for future years. But with that census data changing next year, I don't want to tell you to borrow the money and hope to reimburse yourself, because I don't want to see that not be able to happen. So I think the project can get done. It's just if you want to do it full way the first time, I think you're going to have to put more money into it. Kevin seemed pretty confident about the Nova chip, so you guys want to discuss it and see what you want to do?
Well, how I look at this here is, when we go, we do put the super pavement down, anytime we mill under the ditch, so I said, can we mill down 15, 16 of an inch? Which he said is possible. So now we're not really going down the total brick. We're going down to asphalt after that. Now what they do, they go in there and they crack seal the whole thing. And they get like $4,000 for the crack seal the whole distance. And I guess more yardage out of it through the city too, the crack seal. Crack seal was a big thing because it prevents it from splitting and opening any water into there. And it's a big maintenance thing. Then we talked about just completely, after doing that, is taking the fiber mat itself and completely putting the fiber mat over the whole street itself. And then put the Nova chip on top of that. To me, if we're not going down to the bricks, I think it's capable of doing it and working and saving costs for the 88 ramps. A lot of them 88 ramps, like 5th Street, 4th Street, weren't put in that too long ago because we went out and had LIDAR program a couple years ago using it for money. So some of them are in they're great shapes where they're concerned, maybe a little high pitch, but they don't have the metal plating like they want.
And even if you do the curb cuts, when I was walking it the other day, looking how many there were, if you get a wheelchair on those sidewalks, you're not going to be able to go anywhere. The sidewalks are in such bad shape along there. They're pitched and heaved and all over the place. Nobody's going to be able to get anywhere anyway.
The street itself isn't bad. I mean, it's really starting to really crack on the road goes up Chester Street a lot, but it's getting pretty bad shape. Worked out with municipal authority. They were willing to come in, so we cut engineering costs that we have the money to buy all the catch basins, supply material for them, pay the rates as they keep track of everything. We reimburse them for everything they spend. We can get this project done. Now it's on the highways. I mean, you go up Interstate 80, I mean I-80 going towards Lycoming Mall. Huge section up there was just like that way. It was 2 years ago. Pros about it, it's quieter than asphalt.
They say there's no kickback when it's wet.
When it's wet, no good. Keeps the water rain down. So this is something I don't want to make a decision on my own, guys. I mean, did we do it right? Did we go in there and we, pay the engineering costs? We paid the ramps, and well then, when you engineering, you're looking at 20%, Jamie?
Yeah, about 73,000 probably.
So just
And that's just a
engineering
guess,
costs
but
alone.
20% generally of the project.
But now that we do that, they're guaranteed this for 15 years.
Do they?
Yeah, that's what we said, 15-year
There's
guarantee.
guarantee on it.
That they're gonna come in. And he felt very comfortable sitting there telling me that it will hold up. Just to the fact that we're not going down, we're really not going down the brick. You might hit a brick here or there somewhere.
You can see a few of them out there.
Yeah. But we're only taking it down 15, 16, and then, the cost of the engineering costs, and then also the ADA, so I'm gonna save us a tremendous amount of money. Plus, we're gonna have a nice street from the front street all the way out to the project's coming out between and the work itself. To me, I feel comfortable with it. I do, but, I'm looking at a cost of almost $500,000 to do it,
Well, I think possibly to take the 5 people that have done it before.
They're doing it all over the place.
Well, let's find a couple that's 5 years old, 10 years old, and talk to them and say, how did it work for you guys?
Hasn't been around that long.
I don't think it has, but I think it's only been out like 3 years now.
Yeah.
But they use it. If you go out there past Monsters, from Monsters to Monsters restaurant, from there to Shinokin, that's what that is.
Oh, I guess out to the other, okay.
I'd say all this, it comes in, it's like an emulsion that they spray down, and it's wet at first. Then they put the stone on the wall, and once they roll once, it's,
Yeah, they said they can close down one side of the street, do
Next
it,
street.
and close down the other side, do it, and the street will never be closed.
so the cost of closing the street down also, you know, your traffic direction, we don't have that involved with it.
From officers to show up, it is not stop and go traffic though, like you guys
No, but
said.
that's,
You didn't think it would hold up to stop and go traffic with heavy trucks.
That's one opinion, and the
Because
guy
we got,
was
it's
down
a
as
truck
another.
route. It's a- well, for now, it's a truck route.
It doesn't have to be, the decision doesn't have to be made tonight.
No, because we have to do an environmental review, it's gonna take about 3 months on the project. So we're looking at it that way, and that's why I told the municipal authority, they go for one at a time, they want to. But if we're not going this way, we're gonna have the engineer, then we're gonna be paying for everybody else. But you know, we have to let her go with the environmental review with that. So we can move, yeah, so we can move forward.
Well, I
know
can't
it's
pay for the
gonna
catch basins until the environmental
But I do
review
come
is
from
done.
there, yes. And I told them.
Are we aware of any other towns, Kevin, that did it?
Yes, I wish Mike was here, I can't remember the time. Yeah, they have, it's being used more.
Okay. Not just
What's
on
the
the
most
highway.
thing, it's being used up north where the weathers are even a little harder. You know, up in the New York borderline, up around the area and this and that, they're using it. I mean, he was very adamant about it, holding up.
He was.
I mean, he didn't say, and when I seen the roads, and believe me, I drove a lot here the past 13 months. And I seen it, and they're even using it in New York State, I mean, New Jersey State in 78. Because it's quicker, I get it in, and
But several
it's
people did that.
lasting. That's what I'm hearing. I personally don't have a problem with it, but change is difficult. You know, you're so used to coming in, and I'm being told by a lot of these guys that come in asphalt, you do not need to mill down every street you come to. You know, overlay it, because your expended cost of milling is expensive. I mean, it eats up a lot of our little money that we have. I mean, the next council person comes in is gonna have to make a decision, but, you know, for
Yeah,
future.
that would be now issues that it used to be issues, you can put them anywhere you want.
You'll still get a milling, and you're gonna be taking it down 15, 16, you know, you're gonna take an inch off. You're still gonna have some kind of millings, but you're not going down 2 inches. You know, you're not putting out, sometimes 3 inches, you're not putting 1.5 down at the base and 1.5 inch down top, you know?
So what we should basically decide is, do you want, well, why we need a decision sooner rather than later is because if you want to consider other options, we should be looking to procure an engineer to be looking at the street. If you're going to go with Kevin's suggestion, and I'm not saying it's not doable or feasible or any of that, just wanted you to have all the details. And we don't need to hire an engineer, we can just go forward with the ER and then go do the work in the spring. But that's why we need to know sooner rather than later what your wishes are.
Yeah, because they'll start making asphalt 10, 15 barrels.
Right, so we won't get anything done this year. The municipal authority could do the catch basins this fall.
I feel comfortable with it. I mean, I really do. Since we're not going completely right down the bricks and we're gonna have some base down
We
there.
definitely have some time to look into it because of the time you need.
Well, right, I mean, I can do, but at the same time, I could be doing engineering while the ER is going on. So, I mean, there's no real rush, because obviously we're not gonna have 2013 money until next year anyway. So, but, I mean, if you wanna think about it for a little while and let me know.
The only thing that would change my mind, and I'm not an expert on this by any stretch of imagination, but if there was a town somewhere that used it, you know, for the stop and go traffic, that's all. But
I'll get you the website and you can see how it's put down there. I'll make sure it's mid-atlanticasphalt.com.
Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-atlanticasphalt.com. If you go in there, you'll see it, and then they'll give you a list of all kinds of names and municipalities that's being used. You'll see how the application form is put down. And like I said, myself personally, I want to fiber mat it all the way out after we seal coat. I mean, seal coat to cracks, and fiber mat because that's going to give you a better base. And what that fiber mat does, it doesn't crack. It gives more with the weight. You know, it's more of a stretching compound sort of.
So we can still adopt what you need tonight?
Yes, we can still move forward with what we have here if that's what you still want to do. What we're here for tonight, if there's no other public comment, is to approve the resolution to submit the City of Sunbury's 2013 Community Development Block Grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. And I'd ask you to take that action back in your regular meeting. The rest of the signature documents with all the numbers and everything on, I'll send out later when we have numbers. I still don't have an application paper and allocations. So when I get the ones, when I can fill in the ones with numbers that you need to sign, I'll send them to you. And we'll just move forward with things as is. I'll get the ER started on Chestnut Street as is, and if anything changes.
I do have a comment. When they put that down out by Smoking in between Marshall and stuff, that is stop and go traffic at the red light, it's all the way up there. Unfortunately, on the other side there, if you look at it, if the road isn't taken down and level, it'll take the same, it'll flow in just the way the road is, because the road has humps in that there, if you drive over
Yeah,
it.
it will be shot, it will be.
Uh,
And that's
So
the
that's
first
one of
part
the
of this
things-
project. We're gonna true and level it before we do anything else.
Right, because that's one of the things out there, and they stop and go with it, and what happens is you have humps everywhere they stop and go, if you go out on the southbound side of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be true though. That's already been discussed at that time first.
But that is stop and go right at that, because they took it all the way up to the red light there.
They took it all, I think they took it all the way out to Monsters itself then again.
They just took it to the red light on northbound side. It went from Monsters, for that red light there, on up towards Shamokin.
Yeah, right, yes. Because I remember seeing a car drive across it right after they laid it,
Yeah.
peeled it up. That car was supposed to do that myself.
All right, so we can adjourn the public hearing and go back to the regular meeting, and then I'll do the budget.
Okay, public hearing is officially over, back to the regular meeting, and everybody has in front of you the copy of the resolution. I'll make a motion that we accept it.
Martella?
Yes.
Troop? Ister? Hussein?
Yes.
And the second item I have on there is a budget revision. We had 50 cents left after we purchased the fire hose. And without an invoice for that 50 cents, I can't spend it, so we have to re-budget it. Good thing we don't have to advertise this or anything. We will just move that 50 cents into the Chestnut Street project in 2012, unless somebody wants to put it somewhere else.
We'll take your recommendation.
All right, would you please pass a motion to
Make that formal
move?
motion.
I'll second that.
Troop?
Yes.
Ister? Hussein?
Yes.
Martella?
Okay, just mail me those resolutions whenever they're done, and I'm gonna head out.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If they need anything, give me a yell.
I will.
I said we had to add, we're adding a Department of Public Safety resolution. At our last meeting, we had an executive session, and at that executive session, Councilman Troop was given some authority to investigate some complaints in the code office. Upon recommendations of legal counsel, tonight we have a resolution in front of you. City Council, City of Sunbury hereby exercises a right under Article 3.7 of the City of Sunbury Code to reassign employee management within the Department of Public Safety. Therefore, it is resolved as following, that City Councilman Kevin Troop will serve as City Council agent to manage all personnel within the Department of Public Safety. This change in management shall remain in effect until further notice by City Council.
So, who decided this?
We're deciding it right now.
I mean, when did this come up? Just at this executive session?
We talked at the executive session that you were at, and then we didn't talk about the one today. So
And who was at that? Who was at that executive session?
Michael was there, Jim was there, myself, Kevin. You were not.
No,
And I spoke to Todd Starr on the phone and told him my findings of the investigation.
Okay.
And Todd agrees 100% about what we're doing. And he told me to say that in public.
Because I mean, the consultant, when they gave your department's recommendations, they said that the city has no systematic approach to allocating scarce resources, nor does it understand how it currently utilizes personnel, equipment, and materials in addressing the city's failing infrastructure.
What does
So
that
you
have
have
to
not
do?
run your department anywhere near to even be close to trying to come in and take control of my department.
What are you talking about here?
This is personnel issues, is all this is, Joe. You were at the first meeting, you know what the issues are.
No, what is it? You're telling me that
We're not
he's
talking about
taking
the public
control.
meeting, they're
He's taking
personnel
control, he's taking control of my department, is what you're saying.
Who is?
Kevin.
Yes, for the personnel. We're separating the issues that we have, the legal issues that we have in front of us now.
So what
This
else
doesn't
is
go
there
any
besides
further.
personnel? Is it just the personnel that had grievances, or all the personnel?
All the
Like Linda and
personnel.
everybody?
All personnel.
So then what else do I have in my department if I don't have the personnel?
You have what your guidelines are. You're in charge of
Fire department, EMTs, BMA.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
go-
Fire alarm
I
system.
totally
Streets and
disagree with
public
this whole
lighting.
situation here. I totally disagree with it, because from day one, you guys have been telling me you're not gonna run my department, but that's all you've done from the time I was elected, so.
well, this is
Hey,
nothing.
Joe, the findings that I have.
This is
they're
nothing
very-
more than personnel
I have
issues.
heard no findings. You've given me nothing
First of
about
all,
any
Joe, you
findings.
said you were gonna give me what your problems were with it.
And then I didn't want to add to your
You
witch
didn't.
hunt. I didn't want to give you any names of anybody.
You
who
never gave me
complained.
anything to go in
You're
that
right, I
battle
didn't.
with, not another word. So I sat down, and I talked to all three of them, matter of fact, not the part-timer. All three of them said they, and it's, I don't want to make it public because it's personnel issues. If you do, that's your
Well, then
choice.
keep putting it in the paper, and I'll keep it
I didn't put
private.
it in the
We
paper.
didn't put it in the paper.
It wasn't me who put it in.
What's in
the
front of you
paper.
now? I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Ister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Bartello,
No.
Troop,
Yes.
Appointment to Harb.
It's a conflict of interest.
Whose name is that?
Rocky, I thought that was your, no, Rocky, how do you pronounce that, Bear?
Yeah, because it's tax dollars.
Please go, that's right here, I get off.
so why don't you
I'll make a motion that we accept Rocky Bear to replace Gary Wolf on our board.
Troop,
Yes.
Ister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Bartello,
Yes.
Appointment to Harb Dan Strauss to replace Adam Purdy.
Make that for a motion?
Second.
Ister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Bartello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Harb approval, 260 Market Street.
Yes, Mr. Scott Johnson was in on last Wednesday night at our makeshift park meeting, and we gave him approval to put replacement windows and above and put in public house door. The whole board approved it, so I recommend that we also approve it.
Is this the whole, like the whole north side, what, the north east side?
It'd be the front.
We have, oh, I'm renovating the second and third floors of my building right now, which has been vacant for almost the last 40 years. They're the old pane windows that are cracked and already pulled up. Some problems with some of them. So to renovate, we need to replace them all. I think you'll see some nice trim work going around. The building will be lit and it'll really pop.
So that's pretty much everything on the front and the side, then. 36 pretty much, correct? Okay.
That's on market and third. There's 36 windows in total.
So I make a motion that we approve the second.
Persing,
Yes.
Bartello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Ister,
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your investment in the community. Appointment to zoning hearing board alternate.
Yes, I want to appoint Chris Morgan to the zoning hearing board. Motion, make a motion that we accept. Second.
Bartello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Ister, Persing,
Yes. Approval of pay invoices, Todd's not here, so payables, 147, 755.49, and general fund, 230, that's the general fund, and 232.29 for liquid fuels. We do them separate, or?
together.
I'll make that a motion. Need a second?
I'll second that. Those.
Persing,
Yes.
Bartello,
Yes.
Troop,
Yes.
Ister,
Is Megan there? There she is. SRI Keystone Community Grant.
I'm here today to request approval of a resolution supporting the Keystone Communities designation. Just a little bit of history. Between 2004 2006, there was the City Visions program, which created the Hill Neighborhood Group, and then we proceeded to get the Elm Street program, which brought over $1.5 million invested into streetscapes, over $26,000 in facade improvements, helped to create a functioning community council up in the Hill neighborhood, and which continues to thrive and do a lot of other activities such as planners and community activities and events. From what we understand in talking with the Pennsylvania Athletic Center, who's our guiding group, other than the PCD, the next step for us would be to go to the Keystone Communities designation. As of this year, our Elm Street funding for administration will run out, and in future years, neither Main Street, Elm Street, or these Keystone communities will have any funding for administration. However, the overall funding will increase. For the Elm Street, we were allowed to request $250,000 a year, and what we're told in future years, it will be $500,000 per year that we can request in grants. In addition, the Keystone Community designation will give us priority for those grants. The new designation will be less restrictive, where the Hill neighborhood, 90% of the activity had to be dedicated to the neighborhood for the employee who was dedicated to to that. Now she can designate, then that employee can be for the entire community. The concept that we're working from right now is that it would be corridors and gateways. In other words, gateways to the city, and then the main corridors, Front Street, 4th Street, and Market Street would be where our manager would be focusing on. So we'll be able to do projects in the key image areas of our community. The Keystone Community designation in general gives us guidelines for best practices and allows this change to Keystone Community will allow us to address both, not just residential needs, but commercial and residential. I hope you'll have a chance to check out the resolution and consider approval.
Does it have to be 5 years? Is that part of the?
You have to have a 5-year sustainability plan for funding for the individual. It is mandatory that you have someone dedicated to the program full-time, or else you aren't eligible for the donation.
And the future grants would never cover any personnel for it?
No, however, there are possibilities of smaller grants which might have administration funds, and SRI is working on a neighborhood partnership program tax credit, which would have administration funds associated with it.
What's the deadline for this? When will we have to make this decision by?
As soon as possible. They're telling us it could take anywhere from 6 months to a year to get approved for this. So their tentative deadline is actually June 30th, but what they told us is that's only a soft deadline. But we'd like to submit by July 31st.
You have the application filed or filled out?
We have a letter of intent that's been already submitted, and we are about 2/3 of the way through the application. We've had an ad hoc committee that's been meeting for about weekly for a month to get all that paperwork together. There will need to be a couple public meetings, just like there was for the Elm Street program at the beginning of July, to review it, the ideas behind the program, which are really just continuations of the goals we've already have in the community.
So Megan, what happens if we agree to this, it says in good faith, and then the next year, saying the budget time comes and we have to raise taxes and we have to cut this?
That's what happens.
That's what happens. So this can be taken out at any time when we have to. And then what is that for the grants then?
If we can continue to keep a full-time person, then that's not a problem. If we do not have a full-time person assigned to the grants, then we would not be eligible. We would no longer be eligible for them. But, I mean, we are looking at other avenues of funding, and that's why we're looking at the application in. However, we don't have approval for that yet. And so what we have a situation where in order to get the designation, we have to have proof of support for 5 years. And that's our managed or sustainability plan. So that's why the request for the resolution for the support for the project and the funding.
I never know what happened to budget time.
I do.
It'd be good, I think, for you guys this weekend, because we'll be up there with all the state legislators, talk about this. It'd be interesting to know what kind of odds. Sure, there's going to be a lot of communities that aren't going to do it, but it'd be nice to know what kind of money they're talking about. That it makes it worth. We legitimately have a shot to get some of it versus, $1 million for the whole state of Pennsylvania or something. So I might want to take this with you just to talk to somebody.
I mean, they're telling us that we'd be eligible for, the Elm Street was $250 a year, and this is supposed to be $500,000 a year. In other words, they're no longer paying for employees, but I think, or for them, the admin support, but they are now increasing the level of funding available.
Does anybody else chip it in? Is SRI donate money in this pot, or?
Yes.
Can I ask how much they're doing?
We are continuing to put $10,000 a year, which is what we have been putting in, and have the application for the NPP in, as well as a couple activities that are very funded, such as the Veterans Band program.
One thing we have at our advantage is when you have successful projects like we've been having the last couple of years, the state always looks at funding them versus coming out and starting somebody from scratch. But it's a lot of money to commit to for 5 years, that's for sure.
Our feet ain't held in a fire gate, so I look at that issue too.
Yeah. And at some point in time, when the money dries up completely, that's what will happen. But sometimes they talk about Jamie's not here, but she'll say, she tells us all the time, you start out with $6 billion, you end up with, 1 million in the whole state of Pennsylvania. But like I said, clearly there'll be some communities that won't do this.
What's one of the, I think it's not a fortunate thing, but I mean, if we're able to do this, it's fortunate for us because there will be a lot less competition going forward because there are very few communities field manager position ongoing, because the street wasn't set up very well to support itself.
Okay, any other questions?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Thank you, and we'll have it on next week's agenda. Audience comment.
I have a question.
Yep, just identify yourself, ma'am.
Brittany Bartello. Why is it that you're not bringing in an unbiased mediator to investigate Joe's department instead of someone that previously ran the same department? I just think it would be more appropriate that someone that has no idea about anything involved in the city comes in to see it from an unbiased point of view. That's just my opinion.
Conflict of interest.
It seems like a conflict of interest to me, but maybe that's just me.
Like I said, that's, we'll take note of that. And we just took the information that was gathered and met with our legal people. That's how the decision was made. Yes.
Good evening to the council, Terry, Regina Russell. I do find it to be a conflict of interest that Councilman Troop is not over the code department, but now he's going to be in charge of the code employees. If you're going to give him the employees, you just will kick Joe out like you've been doing all year long and give him the code department, because you're really kind of undermining Councilman Bartello and his authority over the code office.
Okay. Is that a question?
Yeah, my question
That's what
is,
it
he
is,
should
yes.
not be in charge of the
There's
employees.
issues with employees that are within the legal system.
Mayor,
Until we
we
get that
all
straightened
have
out,
issues
Mr.
with
Troop,
our employers.
Mr. Troop will be in charge of that department.
Anyone that's ever worked for anybody has always had problems with their employer.
That's right.
And they have not gotten in the newspaper, so that was orchestrated,
They're much more
so that
serious.
all of this could be transferred right now. And I really think that you guys are not looking very good to the public by doing something like that. He started out with those responsibilities, the public doesn't know what he's done wrong, and you're taking his responsibilities away from him. And I just feel that I need to say something if nobody else in here has the courage to stand up. They should all be nodding their heads and screaming about the action that you just did.
Maybe we should treat it like Mr. Cinco and put him, suspend him without pay while it's under investigation, like we did Mr. Cinco. That would be my recommendation.
Again, it has nothing to do with the situation you're in.
Really?
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, sir?
Yeah, my name's Robert Merlin, and I have a safety issue down there on Keller Street. That trailer that's we've been talking about getting rid of down there. Now kids are going over and getting in there, tearing wood out of it, and taking it over into the playground. And with all the animals that are there and the wood there, somebody's gonna get hurt. And something either to be fenced off or something so they can't get in there, or
It's vacant, sir?
oh, it's been vacant, it's got trees growing up the inside of it. And the floor's rotted out in it.
What kind of trailer is it? What kind of trailer is it?
Oh, it's a house trailer. It's the one I've been trying to get out there, talk to Mr. Bartel and Mr. Eister about. They're familiar with it down there, that they had, and about trying to get rid of it and finding the owner of it. Nobody seems to find the owner of it.
Is it on the redevelopment authority list?
Oh, yeah, I was there when you started that, when it went in the paper, and I was one of the ones that, 1027, that's 1027, Keller, it's right next to the playground.
Who owns that, Joe? Do you remember offhand?
Can't find the guy.
Well,
Okay.
We tried again last week through another source, and he came up blank again, but he's trying another route. You know, try and track down the owner is what we're trying to do.
right, well, like I said, when I gave the information a year and a half ago, and a couple times brought it in, he was on Facebook and he was in Williamsport, and I talked to somebody that knew him, verified that.
I gave him all the information you gave me,
Right.
I passed it on.
Right, but the thing is, down they came down, they cut the grass, which was good, but those trees going up in between the playground and the door, the front door there, and like I said, kids going in there, somebody's gonna get hurt. 'Cause that porch is rotting out. I went back there to get some kids out of there the other day, you know, and there's groundhog holes all back through there if you've been through the property, you know. There's skunks under there, and it's a fire hazard right next to that store. It's definitely a fire hazard.
So they're actually getting inside of it? It's not
They didn't
wood.
get inside, but they got the lamps and just
tear it
you
out
know,
the outside.
the outside lamps pulled down, the windows are broken. I mean, it's a house trailer, but like I said, it's just waiting for somebody to, you know, throw a match in there or something else, because you got two little guys down there starting fires.
I mean, I'll check with redevelopment authority, let's see where that's at too. I don't remember even talking about it, probably down in it's not a very big property probably.
No.
It's a small property, but this is what should be done, just go down there, smash the alcohol away, be done with, because it's been a safety issue for a couple of years.
Correct.
All kind of documentations, the code I was, Mike, you have, and Joe, numerous times, and I tried, 3 different times through the police department, you guys tried, and of course you tried on the traffic people down on the internet, and I used Williamsport. I went to Schmogan until I tracked it, the cousin down, it was the wrong cradle. I tried everything, because George Cradle, I'm trying to think, this guy, either he's deceased or he's hiding somewhere pretty good, because I've had everybody looking for him.
Right. But it's just a safety issue there, and like I said, if there's ever any of the kids start a fire in there, that house right next door is just gonna look like, you know, nothing.
You're right, you're 100% right. Maybe I put in the paper, he won $1 million, and they'll come out of the woodwork.
But you know, hey, I don't want up for taxes. I talked to people into buying it there and say, junkie, they'll get their money back out of it. They didn't do it, so. But I do want to get it out there.
We'll see if we can't get this up in a list.
It is up for the county sales, so
Correct.
that'd be this fall, correct?
September. Yeah.
Okay. So,
I tried to talk them into going down to the taxes and the water and sewer. I checked out for them, you know, some of it, so whether they do it or not.
Okay. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ed Quiggle Jr. here. I was just wondering, whatever happened with the consideration of the Second Amendment preservation resolution? It was supposed to be discussed at, I believe, last meeting. Is it going to be on the agenda next time? Or?
Well, we'll make a note to put it on the agenda. We didn't, you know, honestly, I haven't looked at it. I've just been, you know, busy and I don't look at it. Anyone else has looked at it?
the last time we discussed that, we were gonna do something in Harrisburg, I said, might as well let them do it. Mr. Quigley? The last time we discussed it,
Oh, yeah.
I can't see you back here.
House Bill 357?
Right, didn't we discuss that? And aren't you doing something in Harrisburg about it?
Well, the one in Harrisburg is a little bit different than the resolution that, for Sunbury.
But isn't the outcome the same?
No, they're not exactly the same. It's along the similar lines, but you know how things work in Harrisburg. It can take years to get a bill passed. So, I mean, I don't see why the city council shouldn't consider it. Since we discussed it the last time, there's been, I believe, a couple more municipalities in Pennsylvania that passed it, and even one, I think, in North Carolina that has passed it. And given that there's firearms manufacturers in New York who are considering moving to Pennsylvania because of the unfavorable laws that have recently been passed up there, I think it would be, you know, a good gesture to say, you know, that Sunbury cares about Second Amendment.
Well, we'll get it out. You gave it out to us before, right? Like 2 months ago?
Yeah, I can resend it if you
All right, then we'll at
like.
least get it out to council and see if we want to bring it up and we'll get one of the July meetings.
Sure, thanks.
Yes, sir.
My name is John Bird. I had mentioned, I mostly hear about surveillance issues, but I'm with Ed on the Second Amendment thing. And when I brought this up before, you had mentioned that I had no confidence in DC. And we can talk about, I want to talk about some of that because I've been completely vindicated in my confidence in the surveillance of DC with these IRS abuses. And you see any heads rolling even over like the bank failures. You're asking them, the foxes to keep a look over the chicken coop. Now you passed that resolution for that NDAA thing, you sent it off to Barletta. He has since voted twice against doing anything that was recommended in that resolution about NDAA. So again, I've been vindicated in my lack of confidence in what's going on in Washington DC. And there's already been an amendment to the NDAA thing presented that all it said is, as squishy as you might want to interpret this NDAA wording, that Americans are not going to be deprived of due process. And it failed. So you should not have confidence in what is going to be for your protections coming from DC. It's not there. You just ought to be paying more attention to it. So I'll give you the same homework that I believe I gave you as before. Look at one of the better sources to it, nice and easy, YouTube nullification, and watch one of the videos by Tom Woods, because the higher levels of government are not doing their job, and you all at the lower levels need to start understanding what the Founding Fathers gave us as far as stopping overreach from the higher levels of government. You have to start exercising the muscles.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, somewhere beside you, had your hand up. What? No. Yes, Megan?
I just have another small announcement. The first community bicycle ride was very successful, at least 50 participants. And Dennis, I had asked you to mention that you will be hosting another one this Wednesday, the 26th at 6:30. We'll be in the skating rink if anybody's
And nobody got knocked off their bicycle, everybody was safe?
No, although we did run across a young man who had an accident, so we got him some help.
Anything else? Dale?
I'm sorry, John, was your thing on the camera system, is that what you were talking about? The security camera?
I mean, as far as my expertise, as far as roaming around to other areas, it's mostly surveillance, but I can talk about how the federal government's bankrupt.
Just trust in the federal government and them taking care of things in general.
Last year, my son was 7 years old, and before one of your national events, my wife took him up to the Fort Discovery, and there was something in there that was only adult could use playtime. So I encourage your cameras, and I encourage a lot more of them all over like places like that. There's no reason that a 7-year-old should have to run in and say, Mom, what's this?
We have issues up there, and we need to get the adults out of it.
Right, so I know you're getting a lot of opposition on it, but this resident, and I'm sure most of my friends in here will agree with me, put more up.
While you're on the floor, you off the record told people that the site at Moran was tested 3 times for radiation. Could you tell the code people where to get a hold of the reading?
DEP in there. Joe's talked to them.
So Joe can get the information.
Mike, that's not DEP in there? Maybe they don't want to talk to him. They have the tendency to do that.
Ma'am? Back there, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Cheryl Snyder. We live on Susquehanna Avenue in Sunbury. I have a comment and a question. In the mailing that came out from the city recently, the 4 or 5 page, I forget what it was, but in it, there was this one segment about, healthy Sunbury. And what it was talking about was getting people to go walk so they could lose weight. I'd like to bring up another important issue for the health of Sunbury. Speaking as a person who has asthma, the fact that we came back to this area 7 years ago and found that indeed there are no more burn barrels, but a person can build a 3-foot by 3-foot chicken wire screen, sit 1.5 feet off the ground in their backyard, and have a bonfire at night to the point where the smoke is so bad that we can't enjoy our house because their smoke comes in all the time. So we are forced to shut our windows, shut our doors, close ourselves in, or take me to the hospital because I can't breathe. And I don't think that that should be allowed. That I should have an equal right to enjoy my property and my back porch and not decided on by whether my neighbor wants to have a bonfire. And I think that the fact we've called the code office, we've gotten different answers from the code office. One person tells us there is no burning allowed in Sunbury anymore. And then we call the police, and the police come and say, well, what do you want from us? Well, we'd like you to stop them from burning in their backyard 6 feet away from their house, and it's a double house, so if theirs goes, the people next door is going to go too.
Okay.
And the police come and say, well, we can't tell them to stop because we've been told, and we asked by whom, oh, well, we can't go into that, but we've been
Yeah, all due
told.
respect, don't put my department into it. There is a disparity within code. So if it's a disparity within code, it's a disparity in code, okay?
All I'm telling
Thank
you
you.
is, we've heard
I
two
understand
different
that.
versions.
I
Excuse
understand
me,
that.
I had the
understand
floor.
that, but there is a disparity.
Excuse
There
me,
is a disparity.
I have the
Please.
floor.
You do.
You weren't there. You didn't talk to the two police officers
Yes, I
that came
did.
to our door.
Yes, I
Not
did.
standing on our
All due
porch.
respect, ma'am, I did.
Not standing on our porch, you didn't. You were not there.
No, not in your property, no. But I looked into it, and until code sorts it out, our department is not going to make a criminal arrest until code sorts out what they're doing. Okay?
We weren't talking about a criminal arrest.
You're dragging the police into it, that makes it a criminal arrest, okay? With all due respect. Please? Thank you.